Okay, I think we're live, but I would want if someone in the audience can just confirm if they can hear us. Okay, great. Thanks, Vikram. Yeah, so I'll jump right in. I think we're a little behind, but we'll catch up. Hey everyone. My name is Siddhant. I'm from Shopify. I lead market development in India, and I see a lot of people have joined today. Today's session is about how to set up your online digital business using direct to consumer and also look towards selling globally, right? Hopefully, by the end of the session, you'll be able to, uh, you know, uh, get some tools, tips, tricks on how to increase your brand's awareness, increase your reach, and take your creativity to a global level. All in all, resulting in higher sales, happier buyers, and happier merchants. Right? That's what we want to do. So, just a quick introduction to Shopify. Our mission is to make commerce better for everyone. Commerce is all types of commerce, and everyone includes buyers, sellers, partners. We started in 2006, and today have more than 1 million brands on our platform across 175 countries, running their online stores on Shopify. Uh, so yeah, how do we power commerce? Basically, wherever it happens, and what we want to do is empower our merchants to use Shopify to sell everywhere, pretty much, and use Shopify as the single integrated backend. We help our merchants start their business, sell everywhere, market themselves, all in all, to drive more sales. Just wanted to talk a little bit about retail in India. Like we all know, retail in India is has always been big and been primarily offline. E-commerce in the recent years has grown. In 2019, we were at about $33 billion, but even that is just 3% of the overall retail market in India, right? It's a fast-growing market. We know that, and still a large portion of all the SMBs out there in retail, it's estimated about 25 million SMBs are in India. Only 2.5% of them are online. So I think online commerce in India is growing fast, and it's a small portion of overall retail. So the time is now for you to go online. But if you really think in context of the world, then the opportunity is even bigger out there. Right? You might be hearing things like brilliant, everything I hoped for, worth every cent from your customers. But the one problem with that is that you're still operating in a domestic market, one market. And it's great that your brand may have grown in India, but are your eyes wide open to the soon to be like $5 to $6 trillion plus global e-commerce pie, right? Do you have a smart global e-commerce strategy? And to start, I think it's important to also see where this 3.5 $4 trillion market is spread across, right? Considering India is still like less than 1%. So here are the top 10 largest e-com markets outside of India. Who knows, your business could be taking a share of this large volume out there, right? So of course, what truly matters isn't where we are, but where we are going. So this is the future of commerce, I feel, and it's important that all of us at least start thinking about cross-border, even if we are not ready today. You know, these are strange times in the world, right? COVID-19 has changed life as we know it, potentially forever, right? And it has reset preferences in favor of online consumption and reduced contact channels. This is a trend that's not just true for India, but almost everywhere, right? So while the situation that resulted in this change was not the best, uh, but it's an opportunity, and as merchants, we love opportunities, right? So retailers should now adapt to this new normal and invest into selling online, selling globally everywhere. And this is not just true across countries, but across categories as well, right? There are categories that have seen hyper growth uh, during this time period. Some categories, as we know, like medical or work from home, uh, have seen far more growth as compared to, uh, say, like fashion or travel, for that matter. But overall, there's been a trend in favor of online. So I think that's something that we should be cognizant of, and we should look at these growths, these categories that are growing, as opportunity areas. Um, and it is not just marketplaces where we are seeing the growth in traffic, right? If you see like our global CTO, he basically sent out this tweet at the peak of COVID, which talks about how we saw BFCM traffic levels uh, during the COVID lockdown time period, right? Like BFCM is basically Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which is the biggest sale period for Shopify and potentially even in e-commerce globally, right? And and it was just fascinating to see this trend in favor of online. So it's not just marketplaces where people are actually looking to go and set up their store. They're looking to go direct to consumer, and I think that's the future. So just to talk a little bit about online retail today, right? And the options that are in front of you as a merchant. There are really two distinct retail movements at play. There is the direct to consumer route, and then there is the marketplace route. Marketplace route is less capital intensive, lower barriers to list, uh, but it's where you lease or rent your customer, right? It's not your own customer. It belongs to a Flipkart or an Amazon. Direct to consumer, brands communicate with their consumers one to one. They are in a situation where there's no intermediary. And the way I look at retail, that's how it should always have been, the makers connecting directly with the consumers. New tools and services have made this easier than ever. And I think that's why this is the future. So now that we know that direct to consumer is a growing trend, it's also important to understand what are the drivers behind it, what is its business impact and its consumer impact. So first, I'd like to talk about what's really driving the direct to consumer trend, right? Um, First is the emergence of new technology tools, right, in the past decade. Tools and platforms like Payoneer, Kickstarter, HubSpot, PayPal, GitHub, and of course Shopify are lowering barriers to entry for people with limited resources to start and scale businesses. Now individual merchants have access to resources which were once limited only for companies. Second, there has been a significant shift in consumer preferences and attitudes over products. Today consumers crave for niche buying experiences. And then social media, right? Social media like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat have opened up new ways in which we communicate and now even do commerce. So I think these are some of the drivers behind DTC. From a business impact standpoint, it's a simple fact. DTC results in better margins uh, because there is no intermediary. I always like to take the example of Vadam Teas, who found success in delivering freshly picked tea to their consumer quickly without middlemen and ensuring that their consumers enjoy India's finest teas globally. On the other hand, the farmers, the tea farmers, have benefited from the higher prices that they're able to receive for their hard work because of a lack of intermediaries. So that's a great success story, I think, and exactly what DTC is all about. DTC brands can demonstrate great creative control across all touch points, uh, right from the website experience to the delivery experience to returns. And Bombay Shirt Company, I'm a big fan, uh, have created such a great custom experience where you can you can pick everything right from your collar to your cuff to your materials, and it's an experience that cannot be replicated on a marketplace, right? Uh, Last, DTC has also changed the role that venture capital plays in starting up a business. The cost to enter a market is so low now because you don't really need to go about setting up a shop. investing large amounts into marketing, and you can pretty much start off with experimenting, testing, and then going along, right? There's this great watch brand called MVMT that pretty much bootstrapped their way to $70 million in sales by the end of 2017, and they were bought by Movado for $200 million in the following year. In India, we have our own example of this, right? There is a men care brand called Beardo, which was acquired by Marico this year for about 350 crores. So clearly, like, it's a fascinating opportunity to create a business with less funds, and with, and at the same time having an ability to scale the business, right? uh, Last is consumer impact. Want to talk a little bit about uh, affordability and brand connection that consumers have with direct to consumer brands. John Jacobs is a great story of selling on high quality online glasses at affordable rates. They had try and buy features which they started with, which replicated the in-store experience, and as a result, they were able to save time, save money, and go to market faster. And as a result, create greater affordability for their customers. Similarly, there's a deeper brand connection that customers are looking for. So if you look at uh, this brand called Freewill, which is a hair care brand, it basically asks, you go to their website. There's a unique buying experience that they have created, where they ask you about your hair goals, and accordingly help individually formulate a product just for you. So that's the kind of brand connect which you can only get when you're looking at a direct to consumer channel, right? So these are some of the benefits of direct to consumer and why it's a growing trend. So how do you sort of pick the right platform and get started, right? Like, it's so important to pick the right base. And we believe that there are four critical steps that are involved in starting and picking up the right platform, right? The platform that you pick should help you do these four things: start, sell, market, and manage. So start, right? So what do you really want? Uh, you're not a technocrat, so you want something that's simple and fast. It should be customizable. It should be reliable and secure. That's very important in today's world. Uh, and if required, uh, you should be able to get access to partners who can help you customize, build around what you have created, and really, take your website and experience to the next level. um, like I said, you're not a technocrat, so you don't want to be stuck doing server setup, coding, etc. And that's the power of Shopify. You really don't need to do that. There is a brand called Gourmet Garden, which basically sells vegetables, and we were able to help them go online in like less than a week during the peak of COVID, so that they could like start delivering and helping their customers get access to organic vegetables, right? Uh, Completely fantastic that they were able to do that in such a short time. I myself have built my store in under 2 hours, and I have zero coding experience. It's obviously not a great looking website when you do it in such a short time, but but you're still able to do everything, right? From setting it up, setting your themes, etc., doing your payments, shipping, all of that. And if you don't have products, you can always look at drop shipping, right? So you want a platform that helps you do that. uh, Selling, I think it's very important that the platform helps you sell across channels and integrates well with those channels. Whether it's your online store, whether it's social channels like Facebook, Instagram, if you're doing pop-ups to drive higher sales. I'm not sure when we'll get back to doing these, but hopefully soon. And then also integration into marketplaces, right? You should be able to accept payments, both domestic, global, as well as be able to fulfill your orders. Man Company is a great example of a brand on our platform that's been doing that really well. Market is it's very important for the platform to enable you to be able to reach out to your customers. So, whether it's through email, SMS, whether it's through buyer chat on your platform, support tools on your platform, whether it's through social media integrations with your website, uh, or via paid marketing integrations that you can basically run your campaigns effectively using the platform, right? So I think integrations with Facebook, Google in the digital world are critical. Bunai is a great example of a brand on Shopify. It's an Indian clothing brand which basically started on social and today has scaled into a large brand. Um, and then as your business grows, as your sales increase, you know the complexity of your operations increase, the feature set that you need goes up. So you should be able to manage that on the platform, uh, and sort of like grow through the journey, right? And I doubt anybody in the e-commerce world has not heard of like Wow Skin Science, who's been a Shopify customer for like 5+ years, and has pretty much scaled with us across our plans, right? So you should have a platform that lets you manage that scale, um, and then manage your operations with your staff, analytics, third-party integrations, all of which become more and more important as you grow. So in line with the theme today, right, like of Beyond India, I wanted to also spend some time on how you could think of going global. Um, yeah, so the first and most important thing I think is product market fit, right? Making tactical decisions on which geography to prioritize basically hinges on this. You want to validate the demand for your existing offerings across various regions and countries. And obviously, we like not all countries are the same, so not all buying behaviors will be the same. So there is some interesting rich data here by Nielsen, which basically talks about how online purchases vary by product categories, by region, right? So it's very important to sort of like get to which countries, regions will be relevant for you, and that and go through that entire product market fit exercise. For instance, and like one of the things that we often assume is that our product will work everywhere. Something as basic as a deodorant sometimes does not work, right? Like in other countries. For example, I know P&G tried to launch the Rexona deodorant that they have in China, and purely because of biological reasons, it didn't work. So you need to basically uh, uh, be very sure of your product and its demand before you launch. Uh, and the reason was something as simple as people in China don't sweat as much, and so they don't like to use deodorants, and that's it. So Rexona was never able to scale to the extent to which it did in other countries. Um I think so. In line with like figuring out geographical potentials, there is a 7 set of questions that I've sort of laid out there. I think this is a great way to think about which markets abroad could be relevant for you. It's a framework that was created by North Carolina State University, and basically the 7 steps are fairly simple. You sort of define your market segment based on who your buyer is, demographics as well as psychographics. Um, you know, you sort of arrive at then the geographical boundaries that you want to sell in. So, for example, if you pick US or if you pick UK, then those become your geographical boundaries. Then you sort of look into who your local competition is there, and then define the market size. I've left a link in there which basically walks you through the details of how to do this exercise, and I think I'll be happy to share more information at our booth today as well. There is And then you estimate what a reasonable market share that you can get out of that market, and then average annual consumption that you're expecting, and then your basic selling price, right? Like at which you think you can sell your product. So another way to approach this, and sometimes what you could end up doing in the previous slide was just pure speculation. So I feel it often pales in the comparison of insights that you can gather from your current customers and visitors. And so my question is like, um, if you have not checked out your Google Analytics and looked at like the locations report in there, definitely do that. You can go into your audience geo and location and then set up segments by continent, country, region, or even city. And basically the framework that I would urge you to use is look at areas where traffic and conversion rates are highest. These may represent opportunities where you may have already gone global unknowingly. Similarly, look at areas where traffic may be high but conversions are low, right? um, so then you could actually end up figuring out what the reason is and trying to solve for it. So I think this could also be a good way to identify where you could go internationally. I think going native with your site's language can make or break uh, global sales. Similarly, currency is a very, very important factor. you know Often when it comes to language, people think that it's like an all or nothing endeavor. I'll have to do a big investment to get my language set up. But actually, per the surveys that have been done, it's been found that you actually don't have to invest in a holistic translation, uh, as long as the heavily scrutinized areas of your site are local, and in local language, right? Things like your headlines, product titles, and then as your business scales in that given country, you can probably look at localization of language as well. But this principle doesn't hold when it comes to currency. I think currency, people um, are more anchored and want to have access to being able to pay in their local currency. And there is a and that's a pretty high preference, right? Like 90% plus people actually prefer paying in their local currency, and they are likely to abandon the cart if they're not able to do that. You can obviously like implement these features using Shopify's geolocation plugin, and we also have other apps in the App Store for multi-currency as well as language. So basis, whether you're using a single store approach or a multi-store approach, it's really up to our merchants to be able uh, to decide the right way forward. But both of these factors are super important to be able to better connect with your audience and improve conversions. Online payment methods weigh heavily on buying decisions. Still, it's easy to overlook how people pay. Um, this is beyond currency. This is basically whether you were able to accept payment using a local payment method. So about 59% of shoppers don't buy if they don't find a preferred payment option. Fortunately, Shopify supports all leading global payment providers uh, in major export countries. Uh, Players like PayPal provide fantastic services with buyer protection, fraud protection, and especially when you're starting out, like having a PayPal on your website can even help you with trust and security, right? Um, Similarly, there is Stripe, who's also launched in India now, and that's an option that merchants can use as well. Managing your money as a merchant is also important, and that's where I think Payoneer has a fantastic solution. So you should definitely invest and look into it. I think operations and logistics is now that you know how to set up your website, what are some of the important factors, and you start getting the orders. You want to sort of make sure that you're clear in terms of how you're going to fulfill them and manage your entire operations, right? So Shopify fortunately has all the relevant integrations with major shipping players for pretty much all the major global export countries, right? You can think about whether you want to fulfill using one centralized location versus having local fulfillment providers in each region. But I think that becomes more relevant once you've started hitting some scale in a given region or a country, right? But some of the important things to consider is, will the shipping provider be able to provide you good delivery times? What is the level of volume that they can handle? What is the cost that's associated with shipping? Because this all comes into defining your final price and being able to sell. Um, so and having deep partnerships with these 3PLs can obviously help you increase your profit margin, because they're able to, like, as you scale, give you better shipping discounts, etc. So there is a great app by DHL that I wanted to highlight, which basically helps you uh, sell and ship globally using the entire CSB5 process that's there in India. Uh, yeah, I think it's very important to know the rules and taxes, both in your origin country and your destination country. Uh, and I think there are three aspects to it that I'd like to talk about. First is the licensing and the registrations. I think selling globally, in you want to you want to make sure that you have both your product and your business licenses in India, and you're also ready to sell in the destination country that you're going to. Law and order is very important, especially in the digital world. There are GDPR, for example, in the European Union, there is a law that's called GDPR, which is around data protection, and so you have to comply with the requirements where your customer data is protected. Similarly, there are like concerns around geo blocking in the European Union, which merchants have to be aware of and be in compliance with, right? So for example, just to give you an example there, what I mean is, uh, in Germany, for example, if an Italian customer is visiting the Germany site, he should have the option to not get redirected to the Italian site alone, right? So geo blocking is something that is a law now. So you want to be in compliance with the laws of the land where you're shipping and selling in. And then landed costs, which are driven by duties and taxes, should be clear both to you and your buyers, right? You don't want to create a negative experiences. Um, if you're having trouble with being with basically going through this entire process and being sure, and need a second opinion or help, there are great partners out there who can help you. Stelcore being one of them, where they pretty much help you with the entire cross-border experience. Marketing strategies for selling globally. Um, Sales is everything. So it's important to make your brand recognizable and be able to withstand competitive pressures. Uh, it's important to understand your audience, get your product and pricing right, like I mentioned earlier. Relevant content is so important, and talking about what's unique about your product is so important. You want to be able to show the smartest product recommendations uh, that you can for the relevant audience that is there in that given country, right? So there is like smart product recommendations which can be enabled either using apps or through custom development as well, right? You want to be able to announce the launch of your products based on the geo, and pretty much be able to communicate across these various segments that you will create across geos, right? um, so I think a full marketing plan is required. uh, Obviously, like, leverage all the resources out there on Shopify with podcasts, blogs. um, Shopify provides a lot of rich resource to get your store running and then get it global. So definitely leverage those. And your strategy will obviously keep evolving. Social media is great. Facebook, Instagram have been working, and TikTok was working too till the ban happened. So you got to keep like evolving, and looking at that. And influencer marketing as a subset of that could be a great way for you to get access to local customers. I was talking to the Wow co-founder, and I heard him say that testing and failing was the only way they grew, and so you have to be able to do that, and be okay with failure. So uh, yeah, these are sort of like my few tips. Like I said, segment and localize your ads. Shopify has a bunch of interesting tools, whether it's the Facebook marketing tool to create um, campaigns with one click. You want to be able to create reach out to the right audience, so you can create custom audiences within the tool. Keep researching. I think it's very important. Keep researching what's happening in your markets, because things can change, behaviors can change, interests can change. And if you're having trouble with doing your marketing on your own, then there's an experts marketplace on Shopify where some of the big digital marketing experts can come in and guide you in your business as you look to go global. Yeah, so get started today. I think wherever you are in your journey, I think there's a plan that could be a good fit for you, whether you're just wanting to test a few ideas all the way to like a large brand out there. We have five plans, I think 5 different plans now. So yeah, looking forward to having you all on the platform. We've created a cross-border e-commerce guidebook exclusively for the webinar attendees. So here's the QR code for that, and please do access it. If you need help with an agency, also I think there's a link in there which can get you there. We do have a booth, so looking forward to people coming there and asking us potentially questions. I don't know if you have time for questions right now, but Shisha, maybe you can help us on that front.
Thanks a lot, Siddhant. And sorry for the initial delays and technical glitches. The session was awesome. I'm sure our audience might have got the useful information over here. I think it is right to take the Q&As in the booth, right? Like we have already extended our session here. So thanks a lot. It was a pleasure hearing you and all the insightful learnings about your 10 years of expertise in building these big brands right now. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your time, Siddhant.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for attending.